Welcome, everyone, and we are live. It's Mikey Wine again, aka Gundamonium Works, here with part 10 of this project, the Valkyrie Macross Black Aces Valkyrie project, and I'm pretty much done with the base. I'm just going to show a little bit about this once I get settled in here. I've added a couple things to the floor. The back wall is done too. I can show that as well. Last time we were streaming, I was cleaning up all the edges of that back wall, putting some plastic, sheet plastic down to cover up all the edges and trim it out nice and neat. So I painted it black, and that's ready to go. And everything is working good. So what I've done here, the last thing I've done to the floor was I added these little, you can see these three little, these are actually wheel chocks. So they're secured to the floor. So now, once I figured out where they were going to go, I marked everything and glued them down. So now when I set this whole thing up, I know exactly where to place the Valkyrie. Perfect spot every time. So you kind of see those. These are modern aircraft wheel chocks. This is the only thing I could really find online in 1/48 scale. So did all that, but primarily what I'm doing today is I'm going to be working on the all these figures here. So I got the crew and I've got a pilot. So I've got to get them prepped and ready. I've already done an initial priming on them, but now I can see where all the little defects are. So I've got to go in and start cleaning those little edges up and get them ready for a second wave of primer, and then start painting them. And so anyway, I guess I can get the back wall and kind of show you what that looks like finished now that it's all painted and done and sealed up. So let me go grab that real quick. It's in the cabinet here. Actually, I'll just bring out the Valkyrie too. Why not? So with those wheel chocks and everything, now I can just plop this down just like that, and it sits right in the groove where it's supposed to. And of course, this is my little charge cart, which plugs in over here. Kind of do this backwards. I'm just going to place it there because I can't see the pins from this side. But so anyway, that's where that's going to go. And then of course I got this guy. Once I figure I got to get the back wall on here and figure out where this is going to go. It's going to go in the corner over here, but I'm not exactly sure how close to the wall I need to place it. I don't know that for sure, so I'm holding off until I measure that. But this is, so here's the back wall all finished up. So last week I was putting the trim on and these little corner bead pieces and sealing all this up, and then these back pieces as well. So I put them all on, secured them, glued them down. The only ones I left open are a couple of panels here, so I have access to the plug-in and the battery. And then, so yeah, so this will, I'm not going to set it on here, but this is going to go down just kind of like this, somewhat like that when it's done. So, but I got to work on these figures because they're going to be placed around the base and around the Valkyrie in various places. So I've got several little crew members here, and I'll go through them and show just how detailed these things are. So I'm going to put this back in a cabinet real quick, just so I don't have any mishaps with it. Oops, I'm going to grab it this way. I'll be right back. 1 second. Okay, so yeah, so The pilot figure is from Shapeways. I had that made from a company called Shapeways. They do a 3D printing service, and I was actually able to find some 1/48 scale pilots, Valkyrie pilots for Macross. This is kind of a unique one. It's actually created. There was an artist that kind of had drew his own rendition of a Valkyrie pilot. It's nothing in canon, but it works out nicely because I figured, well, if the Black Aces were a special squadron, they might have special uniforms, they might have special color schemes. So I went ahead and got it and printed it out, and it was really pretty good. A little bit of roughness to it. Once I primed it, I could really see that a lot. So I had to do some scraping, really more than sanding. It was almost like the way the print process came out, it was like a layer of dust, like little specks everywhere, and they just kind of scraped off really easily. So by doing that, it cleaned up really nicely. And the cool part about this guy, let me see if I can get it to focus. Cool part about these is they're printed in clear plastic. So when I get to the point where I'm going to paint this visor, I'm going to use a clear blue paint on it. So if light hits it a certain way, you'll actually be able to see through it, which should be kind of a nice effect. Now getting onto these Reed Oak, there's a company, and I can't remember what country they're from. I think it's, I cannot remember, and I bet you it's printed on here. But they're printed in rubber composite. Okay, so it's not like a standard resin, and they use digital rendering of live, we'll just call them actors. So they take digital scans of these people and then print out really highly detailed figures. And these are 1/48 scale modern U.S. Navy deck crew characters. And the crazy part about this is, I mean, this is a kneeling, I'm trying to get my focus to come back here. This is a kneeling crew member. Let's see if we can get it to focus. Okay, so all that was done in a single print. You can see the boom microphone. That wasn't a piece that I had to attach. That was actually all printed in one single print. So the detail is just astounding. And they're not exactly cheap, but they're well worth it. And there's a little bit of cleanup to do because you can see some lines from the printing process, but it really just looks like that kind of that military fabric that they use, you know, that fabric that uniforms are made out of, military uniforms are made out of. But because they're printed upside down, they have like an umbrella. When you get these, there's like a little disc above their heads, and they have like a little umbrella hanging out. Oh, hey, what's up, Leo? Thank you, sir. I appreciate your comments. That's awesome. And so there's a lot of little support structures that come down to each of the little pieces of the head, the shoulders, the hands, stuff like that. You have to clip all those off and then clean them up. Well, of course, once you prime something, that's when you really start to see all the little the figures, Maverick, they are 1/48 scale. So they're in scale with this current project. So you have to clip these little nubs off and then prime it. And when you prime it, that's when you start seeing those little, you know, all the little defects. It's just like any other thing we build, the Gundam kits or whatever. You never really see your blemishes and stuff until after you hit it with a coat of primer. So this guy, like this one, is a kneeling with hands on munitions. You can kind of see that's what it looks like. And it's printed out exactly. That's just a photograph of the actual print. And that's this guy right here. So we've got another guy here standing with hands in avionics. So we'll have him standing next to Valkyrie somewhere, of course. And supervisor with his hands crossed, just watching, you know, getting paid. That's what they do, right? And then there's one guy, another guy just with his arms down. Kind of hard to see. There we go. Arms down. And then just kneeling. The first one I showed was this guy here. He's got a hand on the ground. And that's what's a trip too, is like this guy's hand, his fingertips are actually on the ground and help him, actually provides balance to the character to the figure when it sits on the ground. So when he's kneeling, his fingertips are on the ground. It's a trip. I mean, I've always been amazed by them. So that's primarily what I want to be doing today, is just trying to clean up these little nub marks, do some moderate sanding. I still have kind of a persistent cough from this thing that's been going around. I am feeling way better, almost 100%, I would say. But yeah, the last couple of weeks it kicked my butt. It was a rough one. So anywho, millimeter size. Oh, okay. So standing. Let's see. I'll give you a standing figure here in millimeters. So here, I'm going to put this on the screen. So for those that are not seeing comments. So this character here, this is in 148. So they're going to be pretty close to, yeah, it's about, with the helmet, is around 40 millimeters. Hopefully, I've got a better one. It's kind of worn out. Let me try this one here. Yeah, it's a little bit better. So, okay, 39 millimeters to the top of his head. Standing, okay. The Valkyrie pilot is a little bit bigger because he was actually on a little platform too. I had to cut that off and sand it, so it's a little bit more in size with everything else. But the Valkyrie stands at 40. The Valkyrie pilot stands at 40 millimeters, so just a little bit taller than the crew members that are here. This guy kneeling with his hands on munitions, he's at about 24 millimeters. And the other guy with his hands, he's crouching, he's about the same, about 23, 24 millimeters. So there you go. Hope that answers your question. This donut, what? Tastiness of donuts is measured in millimeter size. Okay. Smaller the better? Is that what we're saying? See, there's that stupid little cough again. Every once in a while I get it. I'm doing pretty good, so I'm going to try not to be coughing in your guys' faces here. But I'm just going to use a chisel. Some of this stuff is just wide enough. It's easier just to grab a chisel and kind of scrape off those little nubs. They're like little round posts. You know, it's similar to how resin prints. If you guys are familiar with resin printing, you have little support structures for things. But this is kind of an interesting material. It feels like resin, but apparently it's a rubber composite, so it's not quite the same. But it does kind of scrape away like resin would, or plastic, for that matter. So I'm just taking off. I already cut these off, and primed them, but I needed to see what was left. You know, what other cleanup work had to be done, and so now that a majority of the bigger part of this project is done, I'm getting down to the accessories and the crew. I've got the carts finished. Oh no, did I just lose his? Uh-oh. You know what, I was just talking about that microphone boom, and I think I knocked it off. There it is. Actually, I just found it. It's right here on the table, so I'm going to have to reglue that. Well, they do break. Yeah, that's it. All right. Okay, well, we won't lose that. Let me get a little... I've got little Ziploc baggies somewhere around here. Got an extra one. I'll just put that little piece in and I can attach it later. I must have been holding on to them a little too tightly Here we go. I'll just use this. It's a little bit bigger than what I needed, but it's clean and empty. We'll plop this in here. Darn it! I was always pretty careful with that stuff too, but shit happens, right? It's all good. We can fix it. As long as I don't do that to the other guys that have microphones. I was trying to be super careful with that too. This stuff is so tiny. I'm going to get these are 2x magnificator, but I'm going to get these out. These are my adjusters. These go from 0.5 all the way up to 4. And I bought them on Micromark. They're kind of expensive, but it's cool having an adjustable set of magnifiers so you can zoom in. When you adjust the little knobs on them, the lenses move in. So you can get really close for some of this small stuff. So I'm just barely scraping this material out just to get down to like where the shoulder is, so I can sand it lightly and just smooth it out. You won't even know it's there when I'm finished, but it's pretty hard to see as it is. They are pretty small, some of them. They use a lot of supports. I mean, you'll end up clipping off probably 10 or so just to get that little umbrella off of them when you get them, but it certainly makes the print a lot better. I mean, the detail on these is just insane. Every little thing from zippers to just seam lines in their pant legs and stuff. It's all there. The creases, everything is very natural because obviously this was done by a live model, for so to speak. So I've got some smaller pieces. So anyway, how's everybody's Sunday going? I spent some time yesterday with some friends I hadn't seen in a year. They moved to Idaho, so they came back because they have a holiday party here with the company they work for. Or one of them works for anyway, and so they were in town. We spent some time with them, but we still got snow on the ground here, so we're not doing a lot of running around. Just trying to keep it relatively close to home. Anyway, is John in the room? Big John? I don't see him in the chat yet, but I'm curious to see how his project's coming along. There's actually a video on the Reed Oak site too that tells you how to prep these because of those little print lines. It tells you how to, I mean, they want you to like put it in a closed container with some alcohol or something, and it's supposed to soften that up and kind of make those lines disappear. Or you do what I did and just hit it with a little extra primer. How much snow? We got about 4 inches here at one point. I mean, it was a couple of days it was snowing, but I think if I looked in my backyard, I'd say it was around 4. At least that's what was packed up in front of my garage door when I went to go to work the first day after the biggest part of that storm. We haven't seen any come down in the last couple of days. So yeah, that one's looking pretty good already. I'm tempted to try to fix that microphone right now, but it's so small. It's going to be really tough to get right, but I've got some. Oh, that's not the way to do it. I've got this, the Bob Smith CA glue, and then I have some accelerator, the Instaset that I put in these little squeeze bottles from Amazon. That's the best way to do it. You get a little tiny bit of that glue on there. If you can touch it in place and keep it there long enough, then you can hit it with that accelerator, and bam, it sets it almost instantly. So it's pretty good. So just a couple on these shoulders that I had to take off, and I'm almost done with that one. I'll go on to the next one here in a sec. But I painted and stuck those wheel chocks down on the base so I could be done with that. And now it's just finishing up this stuff. So anybody got any plans for Christmas? Anybody going anywhere? Traveling or staying home? What are you guys doing? My plans are up in the air right now because I'll have to see what happens in the next week when we find out, get some test results. My mother is not doing well, so I may be making a trip to Arizona. We will see. All right, I think that one's good for now. I don't see any more of those little nubs. So I think I'm ready to shoot that again. I may come back and try to set that microphone, but that's one of those things that's you really got to take your time doing. Another thing I'm trying to figure out, these guys are wearing gloves. It looks like they're not, but I could easily just paint them gray so it looks like they're wearing gloves or something. Because obviously they're out in space. I mean, they're inside the ship. They're not floating around 0G, but I guess if they were space crew, they would have gloves on, perhaps. So just taking off these nubs a little bit at a time. This one's only like, literally this nub here is about 1 millimeter around, not very much. And I clipped them down what I thought was right on the surface, but then of course when you prime it, you see them come right back because they're not quite flush. So John, sorry to hear about it. Yeah, I appreciate you guys. It's been a rough go because we just don't know. We're trying to get the answers. They're doing the tests and everything. It's just, it does not look good. But we're staying optimistic. We're trying to hope for the best. But anyway, John, I got a question for you since you're local here with me here in Washington. You ever feel like joining one of these broadcasts with me one time? Because I could make that happen. I can bring in as many as I think 10 people at one point. If I want to. Let me look at something real quick. Let me make sure my Twitch is going. Yep, Twitch is up and running. So good. Never had any doubt, but because Twitch turns on and off as soon as my broadcast is over, I don't get to see if it's there until like days later when they finally allow it to be viewed. But, 'cause Anybody got any other questions? Anything else related to the hobby? Not necessarily this project, but anything you want to talk about? Let me know, because honestly, right now I don't have a ton of stuff to talk about. I'm just sanding and prepping these little figures. But we can talk about anything you guys want to talk about. God, there's a couple of these, like, right on top of this guy's helmet. It almost makes it look like he's got horns or something sticking out. That's weird. Definitely sounds doable. Just need to know what I need to get. You just need to have StreamYard. You won't have to do anything other than that, because what happens is I'll send the invite and it'll give you the link to it. In fact, I don't even know if you have to have it initially. It's just it'll do everything for you the first time you come in. But as a host, I can currently putting together Psychos. Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. I forgot I sold that to you. The big Verka, man, that's like 200 runners. I know it's not that many, but it seemed like it. A shit ton of parts. Right? Right. Okay, so this one's getting there too. I got a little bit more work to do on these shoulders. Kind of on his back. I've got the nub gone. It's just there's a little bit of still kind of see the outline of it, so I'm trying to bring that surface down a bit. So anyway, this week I'll be in training in Portland, so I'm not sure about next week's broadcast, only because I'm not sure how much I'll have done this week, because I'm going to be leaving Wednesday after work to drive down to Portland for 2 days, and then I'll be coming back Saturday. So I won't have done much of this project this week. In other words, I'm not sure I'll get any painting or anything done. I mean, a lot of this stuff's going to be hand painting anyway. With the exception of their faces and stuff, I'll probably try to airbrush that with some. I've got several different skin tone paints I can use, but there's really not a lot of skin, exposed skin on these guys. It's just their faces mostly, and their hands if I choose to leave them looking like they're not wearing gloves. But I think I'm going to paint them as if they were. I think it makes more sense to have them wearing gloves. False Portland? What does that mean? Tetsujin, what does that mean? I apologize if I don't know everybody's names in here. Everybody goes by their stage names, so to speak, online, and so I don't know everybody's names. I'll try to remember them. That's looking better. I'm just using 400 grit sanding sponges, really. Just enough. That's enough. It's aggressive enough to take off the big stuff without taking off too much material. At least this stuff sands a lot like resin does. It's supposed to be a rubber composite, but it seems hard enough that it sands fairly easily, just like resin does. I grew up in Maine, where the real Portland is. Oh, yeah, we're talking about Portland, Oregon, not Portland, Maine. I didn't know there was a Portland in Maine. That's cool. I don't care. Portland is kind of weird anyway. So Portland, Oregon, that is. So you can have the real one. I don't give a shit. You can have it. Although there's a couple of nice restaurants I want to go down. I want to try this time. If I can get to it, there's supposed to be a nice steakhouse down there. So this guy's got headphones on, but no microphone. So I don't have to worry about that boom mic. There's only a couple guys with boom mics. It's like 3 of them that I have. 3 of the 5 of these Redux have a boom mic. And I already broke one. So I'm trying not to do that a second time. All right, I'm going to go with that. I'm not sure what color to paint these either. I'm thinking of some kind of a gray scheme. Oh, he stands on his own. This guy that's crouching with his hands on the ordnance, you know, he never really wanted to stand. He always had to have something propped up against him. And that's another thing I've got to figure out how to do is how am I going to attach these to the base? Because I kind of made this thing modular where it's meant to come apart. So I don't know if I can pin the feet of these guys and just stick them in the floor where I want them to go. I don't know what's easier. Somebody said magnets, but I don't have any really tiny ones at this point. I could easily glue a decent sized magnet to the floor and then just as long as the problem with magnets is they don't always hold the way you want them to. You know, you might stick something on it, it might want to turn it or something to out of position, and that's what I'm concerned about. Is if I try that, I end up, I don't know. Although a magnet would be easier because you wouldn't be able to see it. It would be less drilling I would have to do into the floor. But I was thinking about maybe just taking a piece of, I've got some really tiny brass rod. I could drill a hole in the heel of one of these guys and then pin them to the floor and just wherever they're supposed to go, just stick them in. But my challenge is like this guy here that's supposed to go under, he's going to be hanging on to the gun pod, the one that has his hands out on the ordnance. He's going to be under the Valkyrie, so it's going to be kind of a trip to. And when he's on his knees, it looks like he's praying. It's going to be kind of hard to figure out how to place him on there. So I'm still working out that step. That's going to be a bit of a challenge. I'm going to go with a little bit bigger chisel here. I've used a BMC chisels. This is what I have. I have a full set. I was fortunate enough to buy these long enough ago when they were still readily available. Some of them were kind of expensive and other ones weren't. But they are fantastic. And then I also picked up, and I think, yes, I have this here. I will demo this while we're talking about it. Okay, this is a tool from Harp. And I got this from a guy in Japan, a friend of mine who's stationed in Japan. And this is a chisel sharpening guide. Okay, so you got 2 knobs. One, this front one here holds the chisel in place. The back one here is, you can adjust it by degree. Like 0 is obviously flat, and you can change the angle of whatever you're trying to sharpen in here. It's a round hole, so the chisels, if they're flat, when you screw that down, it's going to naturally center that chisel and make it flat. So basically what you do is you take your, in this case, my BMC chisel here, and on the bottom is a roller. So the way this thing works is you slide your chisel through the hole here and you cinch it down. Now basically the distance that, if you look at this sideways, the distance that you have the chisel out is going to give you the angle of your grind, like whatever angle that they grind the end of the chisel in. So in order to get this to sit flat, you have to pull it back a little bit until the angle of that chisel is correct. So when you're rolling this along your sharpener, it's going to put a nice even sharpener there. And then to finish that off, here's what you also need. And I've got 3 of these. And these are diamond microfile plates. I've got 3. I've got one in 400 grit, one in 1500, and one in 3000. So obviously the 400 is going to be more aggressive. If you're trying to clean up a chisel, you're going to start with your lowest grit. And this is, I just marked it 400, so in case I had them all out at one time, I wouldn't forget. But basically, you keep that down, and then you just roll this back and forth on the diamond plate and step it down to each individual one. And when you're done, your chisels will be like brand new. So I'm sure they'll work on anything, any brand of chisel, whether it be MadWorks or stuff like that. Any kind of hardened chisel that they should work on. But this thing is great, and it's made by Harp, and it's the number H90B as in boy. But I don't know, so far I have not been able to find one here in the States. I had to have somebody ship it over from Japan. But you may be able, if you know some kind of website or something that you have a nice connection with, then you can find one. By all means, get it, because these chisels are an investment. And like me, I work with tools all day long in my profession, so you learn to appreciate your tools and how much they cost, and you don't want them to break. I broke one of these chisels since I've owned all these. I broke I think it was a 0.2. It's one of the ones I use quite a bit, a 0.2 millimeter, and I broke it off. I had to replace it. But now that I've got these, the sharpening stones, the sharpening plates, I should say, I'm wondering if I go back, I'm going to try to salvage what's left of that tip, because it really just broke a part of that hardened steel tip. I might be able to go back and reshape it and actually bring it back. So I'm going to try that one of these days. So just sanding away here. Got a few. I haven't had these out of the box for so long. I'd forgotten where these little nubs are. So I'm starting to see them. There's like little tiny ones on top of the head. As I said, they have this little umbrella above them where all these support structures come out from. So there's quite a few you've got to chop off just to release the figure from what's kind of holding it. So it actually makes the surface look pitted and cratered, kind of, because there's all these little round nubs, and they're perfectly round. They're not like a standard, runner nub, but clip off. Some of those are square and stuff, but these are just round, like dots almost, like polka dots. Yeah, see, this guy's face is fully exposed. It's going to be nice. I'm hoping I haven't done any actual real flesh tones in so long. So I'm really hoping I get it right, because it is so easy to get it wrong and make them look like, you know, like a red skin, you know, like too red a tone or too light a tone. It's hard sometimes to get it right, but I'm really hoping I can pull it off. But I have these flesh tone paints I bought from Mr. Color, so there's several of them I can play around with and see what works best. Nope, no other comments. Everybody's just chilling. Is everybody building tonight along with me? Is that what you're doing, or what? I know John is. Ninja. I know he's building. Snapping together that monster Psycho Zaku. Yeah, I still got the other half of that kit. The counterpart to that one. I still have the full armored Gundam in my backlog with all the shields and everything. That one's a pretty big build too. There's a friend of mine that built that for a commission, and he's just like, "Good God, man! All those, weapons and accessories. It's just adds so much time to the build. So many different. You got to paint 4 of everything, you know." It's like I'm using multiple brands of paint over top. Okay, we got a question. Let me put this on screen. When using multiple brands of paint over top of each other, for example, Mr. Color, then all clad, did you put clear coat down between each brand? Oh, I think that's a very good question. I think you really need to be more concerned about whether it's lacquer or a lacquer-based acrylic or a water-based acrylic. Like All Clad and Mr. Color are both lacquers, so you'll probably be okay. I don't think you'll need to clear coat, especially All Clad, because it's temperamental as hell. If you're going to clear coat All Clad, use their aqua gloss, especially if you're using metallics, which All Clad is mostly metallics. But I'm not. I mean, I have a lot of All Clad stuff, and I think I'm fortunate enough it's older stuff, because I think All Clad changed their formulations on some things, and I've heard nothing but bad news about, especially like the drying times are just insane. They either don't dry, or they just remain, they remain tacky, or it takes like 2 weeks to fully cure it, which is a disappointment, to be honest, especially with how durable Mr. Color stuff is and how quickly it dries. I mean, I don't know. If you need All Clad because you like those really bright metallics, chromes, and stuff like that, I get it. I'm finishing up dinner, cleanup and stuff, and maybe gonna do programming challenge on an old Apple. Oh, right. A bit of downtime while making was. That's cool. Yeah, is this George? Or am I thinking of somebody else? Because I know there's a friend of mine that lives, I can't remember where he lives, but not here in Washington or California, but he likes to rebuild old Apple products, and I was wondering, is that who I'm talking to? Is this George? So going back, John, I don't think you need to clear coat in between if it's lacquer, but what are you painting over? Are you talking about using like a clear color, like to tint a chrome or something? Is that what you're talking about doing? Like using a All Clad chrome and then putting a clear gold or a clear yellow over the top of it, or red, to get like a candy color? Is that what you're talking about? Because All Clad makes candy colors, but they don't recommend you using them over a lacquer. They have enamel based silvers and stuff that you can paint under the candy colors to get that really high gloss. Yeah. Okay, so George, I was right. As soon as you mentioned the Apple stuff, I'm like, is this George? Nice. So now I'm going to remember who George is on here. Good to have you, man. I appreciate it. It's fun seeing guys that only saw a couple weeks ago, actually. You know what was funny, George? Remember I told you I couldn't find you like for the whole day until it was almost the end of the day, and then I finally ran into you. Earlier in the day, I did a live video, just a real quick video, and walked around the room. I watched that video again, and I passed you 3 times in that video and didn't see you because I was focused on just looking at what was on the tables and stuff. And I just realized, I'm like, oh my God, he was right there. This whole time I'm walking around going, where's George? I know he's supposed to be here. And then I watched my video again. I'm like, oh God, there he is. So did that answer your question, John? I don't know if I was much help with that one. Other than it's more important to make sure that you're not painting over something that's not going to stick to it. Lacquers will stick to each other, so you're probably okay there. But remember, the candy colors that are in All-Clad are enamel-based, so they're typically not intended to be painted over a lacquer, even though I did it once and it seemed to work. But I will say that when I did that candy color, it didn't hold up well in sunlight. It faded pretty badly. I guess I also did not see you then. Probably, yeah. You were with your daughter, man. You had your hands full. You were entertaining her. It's no big deals. I literally just passed by you, and I saw your. I think I saw your ponytail or something. I was just like, oh my God, there he is, right there. I mean, literally right in front of my camera as I was walking the room. It looks way better, way better. So I got this guy's helmet pretty good, and his shoulders pretty good. Most of these nubs are on their, like the top of their head and their shoulders and arms and stuff, because they're printed upside down. So the feet and everything don't have any of that stuff. You know, they're probably come off the printer like that, you know, with the feet being up. So there's a couple of little tiny nubs on like the fingertips where they're touching the base of the whatever the print base was, but it's really hard to see because it's so tiny. You gotta be careful because just sanding a little bit just takes their finger detail off. You know, I gotta make sure I don't lose that. Might have to use a tiny chisel. 0.1. Yeah, that might work. Yeah, that's better. Actually, I think I'm going to go a little bit bigger. 0.1 is a little too small. Let's try 0.15. There we go. That looks better. I'm just rescribing these fingers because when I sanded his fingertips to get that little nub off, it kind of flattened out his fingers and didn't leave the groove there between. So I'm kind of just really carefully trying to rescribe that. There we go. That's looking better. This stuff is weird because it's flexible, but it has like enough tension, like you can still scribe it and sand it like you would resin, but it has a little bit of a bend to it. You know, it's almost makes you wonder if it's going to break or something because the way And just a slight flex to some of it. All right, that's looking pretty good. We'll see once I hit it with primer again. I say that now. It looks good until I hit it with primer and I go, oh God, back to wave 3 of cleanup, These don't take too terribly much, but this is another one of those guys that has a microphone, so I got to really be careful not to break that off. So, George, how's the weather been where you're at? Because here it's been cold and snow and ice, and it's been really, really cold, actually. We've been fortunate this time around so far. We hadn't lost any power. There were some people that we knew that had lost power for a few days, and it was really bad because they didn't have any heat either. I mean, one guy I work with said his house was down to 40 degrees. I mean, that's just ridiculous. He's an older guy, lives by himself. Chilly, but not a lot of precipitation. Well, that's good. Oh, Mike, where did you get that shirt? This one actually was. I bought a short sleeve version of it too, but this one was from. Oh gosh, what was it? It was gifted to me, and I'm trying to remember where it came from. Something on Instagram. I'll think about it. It's something mountain, something mountain toys or High Mountain or Thunder Mountain. Oh gosh, what is it? Let me look it up. I gotta try to find it now. Now you got me thinking about it. Let's see if I can. Oh gosh, I'm gonna have to look for it. But I don't know. Oops, I was trying to go search. Okay, Holy Mountain Printing. That's what it was. Holy Mountain Printing is where I got it from. Now, I'm not sure. I think they're still operation. I think the name changed or staffing changed. Something changed. I can't remember if somebody was no longer with the company or what, but Holy Mountain Printing is who made it, and you could look them up, see if they're on Instagram, and I'm pretty sure they've got a shop link there on their page. Let me hide that one again. Space Mountain, Splash Mountain, no, Holy Mountain. Just Holy Mountain. And then later on, I think they started selling a short sleeve version of it, and I bought one of those as well. Same artwork, just short sleeve. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I just one day he hit me up, hey man, can I send you a shirt? I'm like, hell yeah, you can send me a shirt. I'll take free stuff. So yeah, he sent me that and a bunch of stickers, and it was cool. But they were just getting started then. They were promoting their business, so it made sense to kind of do stuff like that to people that they knew. So this guy's got gloves on. I can see that. He's a real stupid visor. He's got his arms folded, just sitting there watching everybody else work, getting paid. What's up, Angel? What are you doing? Are you building anything right now? John's building the Psychos. Like, oh, actually, I know what you're building. I don't know if you're doing it and watching. You're probably in your your theater room, so you can't do your building right now, but I don't know. Because Angel's doing a, if I'm not mistaken, it's the Goof Flight type conversion for the PG Zaku. Am I not mistaken? Big resin conversion. It's just massive, man. I can't believe some of the leg pieces, just ridiculously huge. It's a cool resin conversion, really nice kit. The problem and the hard part is just getting the damn PG Zakus. You can't find them anymore. Or if you do, they're just stupid expensive. Somebody raping you on the price. Nope, just got home from Costco run. Yeah, you said that earlier. You said you might go to Costco. Nice. Well, good. So now hopefully you're all stocked up for a while. Don't have to do that for a bit. I tell you, we bought another TV. we found the same exact TV that we had, only 11 years newer. So that's just sitting here in a box, waiting until the other one dies, and then we'll put it up. Yeah, that would be cool if they made a Goof Flight type in the MG. That'd be nice too. Come on, Bandai, if you're watching, you know. Listen to what the people want. People have spoken. We want a Goof Flight type in Master Grade. And not just be like a conversion kit, some resin conversion, because not everybody's comfortable working with resin. I mean, even I don't like working with resin much. I do, but it's just a pain in the butt. All the prep work and all that other extra shit you got to do. All right, I think, oops, I got a little bit left on the shoulder here. Thought I was done with him, but I missed the shoulders. This is where a lot of those supports are, right on the back of their shoulders. So just trying to get that, knock that down enough. I think, oh, you thought they made a 100 Goof Flight type? I haven't heard of it, but again, I'm not an expert on what Bandai's been making or selling. I mean, hell, it's hard enough for me to figure out which Gundam series I'm watching, let alone what models are out there. So that guy's got, oh yeah, it is attached. Wow, that's some crazy print, man. This guy has a boom microphone, but he also has a cable going from his packs up to his headphones. Let's see if I can get that to focus. So see that on his shoulder there? There's like, and that's a single print. That's just, it's hollow. Everything's hollow. The boom microphone, everything is just there. There's nothing attached to his face. And then even that cable just goes right up alongside on his shoulder there, his right shoulder. So I'm trying to stay centered here. There we go. Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy good. Just don't break it. That's all I can say. Don't break it. Oops, that's the thing. Oh, man, oh, man. Well, looking forward to driving to Portland. I mean, it's not too bad, but it's at least it's not on a Friday. But the last time I drove down there, it was just, I think I'm more concerned this time because of the snow and ice that's on the roads. So it's going to be crappy for that reason. Maybe not. I don't know. Not sure what the weather's supposed to do in the next few days. I don't think we're supposed to get any more snow, but it's just trying to clear off the stuff that's there. And that was Angel. What are you sending me, Angel? What you sent me wasn't a Bandai. Oh. So there is a 1/100 flight type available then? It's just not a Bandai. Is that what we figured out? MG. Huh. So wait, it wasn't a Bandai? If it wasn't a Bandai, it can't be an MG. Because that would be a Bandai. Unless you're just saying it wasn't a Bandai MG, which makes sense. Yep. So yeah, we're just plugging away on these figures here. Not too bad. Not that bad to clean up. Just trying to take these nubs down on the head without taking the details out of the helmet, because there's little. It's basically got the helmet, and then you've got a cutout built into the helmet that's made for the strap of the headphones. So all those little panel lines are there, those little details are there, and I'm trying not to go too deep and kind of erase those. I'm trying to keep all that stuff there. So that's the hard part, just barely sanding enough of this to get those nubs off without losing my details. You sent a link. Yeah, I know. I heard my phone go off, but I'm not looking at it right at the moment. But I will. Let's see here. Bandai. Oh, well, wait a minute. Robot Spirits, MS, Saint Goof Flight type version. Huh. Oh, it's coming next year, June 2023. All right. Well, there you go. Looks like there will be a Goof Flight type from Bandai. It's a premium Bandai according to this website. So hopefully we'll still see it, but maybe not. You can pre-order now. Yep. That's what Angel just said. You can pre-orders open on the 25th of November, so you can order it. Angel, if you can, why don't you post that link to the chat that you sent me? And that way everybody here can see it if they want and use it if necessary. If they want. That's cool. Goof, the Goof. Goof flight type. I don't know if you can copy that or not. It'd be easier if you copy it, post it, paste it in the chat there. That way anybody else that's on their PC or whatever, they can just copy it and do it themselves. Take it out. Maybe go buy it. Especially Julius. I think he wants it the most. Right? They might come out with another version for the U.S. market, not P Bandai. I mean, we might still see the P Bandai one, but there might be a different version of Master Grade that hits the U.S. market first. But I don't know. We'll see. It's not always the case. All right, he looks pretty good. little bit on this forehead right here. There we go. Just trying to be ever so gentle. Because they're really small. Some of these little support nubs are tiny, tiny. Half a millimeter or something, you know. Just really big, really small. So this is supposed to be the same guy. I'm just looking at his gear. He's wearing gloves on this in this version, but not in this version. And it looks like the same actor, I guess, model that posed for the digital render. It's the same one, but one he's got his arms folded and this one's got his arms down, but this one's also wearing gloves and this one's not. So there was a little bit of variance there. Okay, I gotta take these big mags off. Gosh, I can't see anything. They're great for getting up close, but when you take them off, it's like, oh my God, you can't focus 2 inches in front of your face. Oh boy. So, I got one last here, and this is my Valkyrie pilot. Probably a little bit of cleanup to do on him still. Still a little rough on his gloves, and unfortunately, Shapeways has, like most of the stuff you buy from them, you can choose whether you want smooth texture, smooth or really smooth. Like you want to pay the extra money and have a really high quality print. You choose that. Unfortunately, though, this one, for some reason, this Valkyrie pilot, this generic pilot, didn't have the option. It was just you had one choice, and that was just a regular, standard, smooth plastic. So it didn't come in as smooth as I would have liked it. But I still think it's going to look really nice, because I am going to paint it in a scheme that's not typical for like the Do You Remember Love Macross suits that are white with pretty pristine white suits. I think I'm going to give this guy a darker scheme just for the fact that, hey, this is a unique squadron. These guys are Black Aces. They're they look different for a reason. So I think that'll be cool. You sent it to Gundamonium Works. What'd you do that for? Put it in the chat, Angel. Looks like I can bring it up on the computer, but then I got to switch out the screens here. Hold on a sec here. Let's go here. Give me a second here. I see if I can copy this. Let's go there. And then here. I don't see it there. Switch back. There it goes. No, it's not there either. So it's not on my Facebook page. Are you talking about the YouTube channel, maybe? Let's switch profiles again. Let's see if I can't find it. Not sure where you sent it, buddy, but I can't seem to find it. Give me 1 second. I will be back in 30 seconds. Start the clock. All right. Sorry about that. So, getting back, Angel, you said it works. I don't think the one from Premium Bandai is a model kit, but a figure. Oh, I thought it said. Well, I didn't know P Bandai stuff was figures, though. I just assumed it was a model kit. So, well, that sucks if that's the case. What are you sending me now? Oh well. Let's see. Angel sent me something else here. Let's see what he got. What do we got? I don't know how to send it to you too. I just thought maybe you could post it in the chat here, but let me see what this link says. Oh, it's a B Club resin, 1/100 resin goof flight type. So that's a non Bandai as well. Yeah, there's stuff out there, but I just don't know if Bandai is going to be the one producing it. What you want, Julius? You know? Yeah, GK resin. I guess my experience with resin conversion, because you got to get the ones that they're like not reprints, because there's a lot of really crappy stuff out there that it's expensive and they're just horrible prints. Because my first experience was with a Sosby 1.0 conversion kit, and I didn't know what I was buying when I bought it. I just thought, oh, it's a conversion kit, but it was obviously a reprint. Everything was warped. I was unfamiliar with how to heat stuff up and reshape it. If it was a little bit bent, you can kind of get stuff back the way you wanted it. I didn't know how to do all that. I just kind of held everything and glued it together. But so I guess it pays to get something that's from a reputable casting company that makes very good prints, or not prints, but resin casts. If they're casting it, if they're printing it, that's one thing. Prints tend to come out very clean, and obviously you don't have any mold release to contend with, so it might actually be easier to prep a printed version because you don't have all those extra cleanup to do. Oops, I'll put you away. I keep picking that one up by accident. I just don't want that 1.15. So, just doing a little more work on the pilot figure here. Seven total. Welcome in all the new people. How you doing? Just chilling on a Sunday afternoon, evening, maybe wherever you're from. Might be evening. Might be morning. I don't know. It's all good. Maybe if we saw resin 3 times, Chris Pabs would show up and chime in. Make me start coughing. That's funny. Yeah, because Chris Pabs is the king of resin conversions, isn't he? Although I say Ryan Bartoletti in Japan's probably a close second as far as quality resin builds. He's really good at cleaning up and painting resin. That's funny. Chris is probably sleeping right now. What are you talking about? He's not going to watch my stream. That's funny. Let's see what's going on over in Twitch world. Anybody chiming in? I don't even know if there's a chat here. I just broadcast on it. I don't even know if I don't see anybody chatting on Twitch. So, all right, whatever. Back to the YouTube side. So I'm just using these chisels to kind of take off some of that rough stuff. It's just almost like a texture on the surface. It doesn't go very deep. It just, something in the print process leaves like little like sandy kind of bumps. And so I can literally just go over and scrape them off. Of course, I'm taking my primer off with it, so I've got to go back and reprime and check again. But it really is a interesting figure. There's some of the lines that disappeared. I mean, I lost some panel lines especially on the helmet, because there was just so much sanding I had to do. So I'm gonna have to go back and rescribe all that stuff. But I'll use some really small chisels and we'll get it done. So, yeah, because there's like an arrow. I got the arrow on the helmet. I've got this is like a newer Valkyrie pilot. I got like one of that would be in maybe Frontier, Macross Frontier, or something like that. The helmet's slightly different. So the top piece over the visor was like a typically one solid piece of glass, not like the older Do You Remember Love versions where you had 4 panels. But I think what I want to do is I'm going to go and rescribe and make those 4 panels again to make it look like more of a VF1 pilot rather than a YF19 or one of those other Valkyrie pilots in the later series. That's what primer's for. Yeah, I can't see shit without it. You're right. You bet. I also primed my ladders and stuff. I hadn't painted those yet, but the ladder that I'm using for the pilot ladder, and then the other ones like the big crewman, like the crew platform, ladder platform. I primed that, so I'm going to paint that. But first I've got to go over the steps on it, and I'm going to stipple it with some of that Mr. Surfacer 500, and use like a dry brush it, kind of stipple it on there so it looks like almost like a grip type tape, grip surface kind of thing, and then I'll paint it after that. Yep, you're right. Can't see shit without it. We're just old, man. That's what it is. You know, we were 10, 15 years younger, we'd be fine, but my eyes are getting bad. Real bad. This guy's kind of making, it's weird. He's kind of making a fist, but I can't see his, oh, that's his thumb. Okay. That's weird. I was trying to look at the back of his hand here, and I was like, going, what is going on with his fingers? I see it now. Okay. Just going to dig out some of this. It's almost like he's holding on to something, but there's too much material on the palm of his hand, so I'm trying to kind of just grind it away, scrape it away. Yeah, that's right. We're just old. Forgive us old people. Saw Eric and Jenna last night, Angel. They're down here for their Chrysler company party for where Jenna works. Eric works for like a Car Star collision center over there. So he goes back tomorrow, and then I guess she's got to stay and work because it's end of month and stuff. So she goes back on Tuesday. And we haven't seen them in a year, so it was kind of nice to see them again. All right, let's see if I can smooth this out now. That's better. Yeah, okay. So I took him off of his little platform too because the figure product was printed on a little square. It made him look unusually tall. So now, if we put them side by side, that's pretty good. Let's see if you guys can see that. So now, not too much taller. I mean, let's see, get his feet even here. Right about like that. So they're comparable. Pilot's a little bit bigger, but you know, he's a pilot. He's a badass. He's supposed to be bigger. So yeah. So now that I got, like I said, earlier I showed this off for a little bit. For those that came in later, I've glued down three sets of wheel chocks. So now all I got to do when I set this up is I know exactly where to plop the Valkyrie because the wheels will fit right in place. Particularly the rear landing gear because these had to be spaced properly. So I really had to be careful how to mark everything and make sure I glued them down right. This one just grabs the left front wheel of the front nose gear, so that's fine. But yeah, I can set it down. It's perfect every time. Plug in my cart over here, and then I've got the nitrogen cart, which is going to somewhere over here. I'm going to put the wall up, and then so I can figure out because there's a little notch on each side where this cart's going to sit. So I want to make sure it's in the right spot before I glue it down. Because once that's done, then I don't need to worry about anything left on the floor really. The back wall is done. It's all painted. Yeah, and the Valkyrie's done. So it's just these figures. And so I don't know if we'll do a broadcast next week. I'm not sure about that, only because, like I said, I'm going to be in school. I'm going to be gone for 3-4 days. I'm not sure how much work I'm going to be able to get done on these guys before that. So there may not be much to talk about. Yeah, you saw the pic. Yeah, it's because I sent it to you beforehand. So we'll see if we do one next week. I may skip and wait until the following week just so I've got a little bit more material to show off because it's for me, I like to at least be able. It's not just building. I want to be able to entertain you guys and talk and the camaraderie and stuff like that. But when I'm standing here or sitting here with nothing to talk about, it's kind of hard to keep you guys, chilling out with me. So maybe I need to bring a guest in next time. We'll do that so we got more people to talk about. But anyway, we're running up almost on an hour and a half, so I guess we're going to bring this episode to a close. And for all those that may be new in the room, please tell your friends, subscribe to the YouTube channel, tell your friends and let them know. Try to do this every week, but we'll do what we can. Real life gets in the way. Real life comes first. So yeah, you can make me a drink from there. Yes, I can. Well, remember, I got a whole friggin' case of wine here for you that you got to pick up someday. So, but anyway, yeah, tell your friends. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Be good humans. You know, try to treat people the way you want to be treated, I guess. The old saying goes. Love the ones close to you, because tomorrow they might be gone. You just don't know. And with that being said, we will see you next time. Hopefully next week, but like I said, maybe not. We'll talk to you soon. You're welcome, Julius. You're very welcome. Thanks for everybody tuning in. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.